everybody, if you're watching this, please be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you have, thank you so much. Hey everybody, happy Friday. And when I tell y'all happy Friday, I really mean it from the bottom of my heart because our spring break starts today. I am burnt out, and I noticed I was burnt out beginning Monday. Okay, and I'm not somebody who admits to myself I'm burned out. I'm one of them people, I just keep everything together till June and then just crash out for a week, and then next thing you know, I'm back to work. Anyway, finding something to do. Nevertheless, I want to get on here and talk about some stuff that you know how this goes. Something that was bothering me politically, or something that I see I wanted to comment on. We'll get to Trump's raggedy tariffs. So here we go. So this week, everybody's been all a buzz, okay? A buzz based on the fact that these tariffs that Donald Trump, sorry ass, was putting in place because he has, one, the only political experience he has had is as president with sycophants and white supremacists who hate black people, and that's what drives everything for them. Okay, so Trump started crashing markets on Wednesday. All right, I know in my retirement fund that, of course, people encourage you to have, and certainly as a teacher, I lost $634 in just like an hour. Yep. Anyway, so he puts these tariffs in place, 84% on China and this, that, and the other, yada, yada, this, yada, yada, that, with European stuff, all these other places, right? And the rest of the world called his bluff. Okay? China said, oh, okay, you want to put these tariffs on us? Okay, we got you. 84%. They raised theirs on the same day within like minutes. They said, you want to do that? And so Trump had to back down. Now it's a 90-day deferral for the tariff, so on and so forth. Get the fuck out of here. Like, this is what I'm talking about. He can't admit that he's wrong. He can't admit that there needs to be a better plan. And quite frankly, nobody around him is going to admit that. They don't care how this is destroyed. They just want to dismantle this system and allow a few billionaires who can't be billionaires without the people. We can have a revolution. That is possible. Now, people can be scared of a revolution, but it is necessary. But we can have one. Okay, so now, but since then, today, as of like 6 hours ago, China said, you want to keep playing? I don't care. I'm not impressed with that 90-day deferral. We're putting 125% tariffs on U.S. goods. Y'all, look around you and look at all the stuff made in China. And tell me whether or not you think this is a good idea. And let me tell you something. The rest of the world has a lot to teach America. Number one, they called Donald Trump's bluff, and the market started crashing, and everybody started going crazy. The Americans started going crazy. The ones working on Wall Street started going crazy. Y'all knew this would happen. Pretending like these things were not a problem from the gate. The economist that he has advising him, who wrote a book on wealth and how to have it and maintain it, and he cites this man, I forget what his name is. He cites this man as this greatest economist in the world. Turns out that person is a character he made up. So his book was the whole book was a fraud. Even what he was claiming he was citing was a fraud. These are the people advising him. Whatever advising looks like to a narcissist. Okay? So this is what I mean. He's a sociopath. He cares nothing about the greater good of the people. And that's why you see protests all over this country. And yes, I did let them people protest last week on their own. Because all we were screaming for was our lives matter. Black lives matter. Y'all had an attitude. Y'all had guns shooting people from y'all's yard and everything else. Oh, because we wanted the police to stop killing us. See, y'all thought this was only going to be on us. Now y'all want to have buyer's remorse. Good, have it and sit in it. And we already know how this goes. When it's all over, because Trump will not be in power forever. I don't care what he said. The man is 80 anyway. I don't care. This will go. And then white people will go right back to being racist. I mean, like, even if they have like a moment where it's like, oh, we really need solidarity. They have done it to us too many times, and we already know. That's why I refuse to be stressed out in the name of them. Okay. And then everybody was celebrating like some market points went back up. No. See, when you put that stuff in, it don't just disappear. He is creating I mean, just a world fall that didn't have to be. All of this was preventable, namely with your voting patterns. Anyway, so I caught the excerpt on Abby Phillips' show on CNN, which I don't watch. Okay, and Abby Phillips annoys me anyway because she was that black woman that was always playing devil's advocate on CNN with her roundtable show against, black issues and things black people stood for. And then all of a sudden, when Kamala was running and Barack Obama was talking down about black people, she tried to pretend like she was on that side. And anybody like that, and she is a Caribbean, comes from a Caribbean immigrant family, went to Harvard. Those kind of people are usually not down for the cause, do not have a sense of self that is connected to the African American struggle, for which they have and are benefiting from by just not being us, but being close enough to us that they get to benefit from DEI, which we all know won't last long. But anyway, getting off her, Tiffany Cross, who had her own show on MSNBC for a while, who I don't necessarily follow, but whenever I see her analysis is on point. I haven't watched the Native Land podcast much. I'm not really here for Andrew Gillum like that, or Angela Wright, even though I think, they're all smart and that kind of thing. Anyway, Tiffany Cross was on the show the other night, and she was reading those white men down who were trying to defend Donald Trump or acting like his tariffs weren't that bad, so on and so forth. And she was checking them about this. She said, first of all, you have a colonizing attitude toward Greenland. And she was talking about Donald Trump and the people around him. And that is the case. When you start talking about stealing somebody's stuff, claiming it as your own, when people are there, and they were like, what stuff? What's up? Doing that little white shit, trying to make you feel like you're crazy. She was like, land. That's what I'm talking about. You know what the hell colonizing means. It means to take someone's land while they're still on it and extract the benefits of the resources that they have. That's what it means. Don't help me. And that is colonizers talk. That's colonizers talk 101. That's what it is. 101, sorry. So, and those two dumbass conservative racist white men, Richard Quest, who's like some British economist, whatever, and Scott Jennings, who's racist, who has been surrounded in controversy from his time at the Bush administration. All he has is a BA from the University of like Louisville in Kentucky. And it's not even that I'm trying to degree shame or anything like that, but black people who make it and get all this access to like presidential offices, so on and so forth, they always, even the ones that I don't like, always have these levels of degrees and expectations around their education. And these people just get rich. He's been a Fox News correspondent. He was caught up in saying things and unlawfully firing an attorney general in New Mexico, like lots of shit. But this man still got his job on TV. And he's going to try to tell somebody like Tiffany Cross, who's worked to get where she is, what she should know. So he's going back and forth with her, barely, because I think they were thinking they could hem her up. And then started that little stupid laughing when she checked them and explained to them what colonization was, so on and so forth. Because they do that, and I've seen that done. I've experienced that way too many times. When you are getting somebody together intellectually, like she's so stupid. Oh, she, like that. And that pissed me off and it triggered me because I knew exactly what they were doing to her. And so did she. And I know she kept it together, but nevertheless. And that's what white men do to black women when they are intimidated. Laughing is supposed to make you feel stupid and ashamed and then cower. And she didn't. And that's why y'all weren't ready for it. Okay? Because that British economist got quiet all of a sudden. Scott Jennings, of course, being just like an arrogant, like we know why slavery lasted so long. People like him. Okay, anyway, so then for that white man to insult her, Scott Jennings, to then say after she gets him together intellectually and say, well, you're trying to tell me this and that, but you got fired from your job on MSNBC. First of all, say what? You were called before the Senate committee, about a judiciary committee, about your crimes that you barely got off from. Are you kidding me right now? Now, she didn't say that. I'm telling y'all that, okay? Because that's what happened. And he was basically talking about the time she was on MSNBC. She had her show when they started getting rid of black women like her, Melissa Harris Perry. I mean, now it's Joy-Ann Reid, but it had been some years before. Because she was challenging those so-called white liberals on Morning Joe who were Republican representatives. So I don't know why people think because white people are aligned with the Democratic Party, they somehow are not racist. They have shown us how they treat black people our whole lives, let alone our ancestors. So anyway, and she wasn't playing the agreeing house Negro that they wanted her to play, and she did not care. And her show was pulled. Now she was like, well, you can engage, and she told that white man that. She was like, you can engage in personal attacks, I could do that too. She said, but you're not a government official, so you're irrelevant to the conversation anyway. I'm irrelevant. Yes, you are. I said, go off, because she kept going to intellectual stuff, which was good of her, because, oh, baby, let me tell you something. I think I would have gotten caught up in the muck and mire and would have just gone to his ass about all the controversy surrounding him that has been surrounding him since he's been in public life. But she didn't. She had a broader point to make. Then she had to get that black guy together across from her at the same round table, Shermichael Singleton. First of all, yes, his name is Shermichael. Shermichael. Singleton. Okay? And I could tell he went to Morehouse. I could tell. And he did. And he represents that conservative strand of guys from Morehouse. And I know that Morehouse graduates have a history of being very progressive and radical in many ways. And then there are others that conservative. What was that black guy that tried to run against Barack Obama in the Republican Party? What was his name? The pizza guy. I forget. But anyway, Shermichael Singleton is of that kind of thinking. Anyway, they treat him like a journalist when really all he is a commentator. So he's a conservative, self-hating black man. He worked on campaigns to support his slave master, Newt Gingrich, of all people. All you gotta do is Google Newt Gingrich to know. Okay? And he worked for Ben Carson recently, he's sitting around that table with his dumb ass trying to laugh with them white men. They had a good black laugh out of you because they know you were on the wrong side. Slave. Anyway, so he was up there talking about the hell with China, who is our biggest trading partner. Y'all do realize that, right? You can disagree with the politics of China all day. I'm sure they can take issue with ours. They're our biggest trading partner. And this is the point that she was making. And here y'all are defending these tariffs on China as if they're not going to be consequential to the prices that Americans have to pay. And she was like, iPhones would be $3,500 if they were manufactured here and not in China. And that's part of our trade. Then all of a sudden, Scott Jennings, racist white man, wants to pretend like he cares. Oh, so you're here with child labor and forced labor over there? She was like, absolutely not. But the bottom line is, y'all are talking about this from a price range. Now, all of a sudden, pretending to be moral. Miss me with the bullshit. Okay, and Tiffany Cross, you did that. I just want you to know that. All right? Shout out to my ATL girl. All right, anyway. So the SAVE Act, white women were really quite in a tizzy. I'm just talking about just the ones in my office and the ones I've been following since this has become a thing. The SAVE Act, will make it harder for women who changed their names once they got married to be able to vote because they'd have to bring their birth certificate. And your birth name is not the same as your married name usually. And this caused quite the stir among liberal, white women who feel like their rights are now being challenged and taken away. Like I said to my colleagues, and yes, I did say this, and no, I'm not taking it back, and I don't play those games. Okay, I said, they were like, well, Salah, how's it working out for you? First of all, I'm not married. They were like, no, they said, Salah, do you have any plans to change your name or back up work? Like whatever. And I said, no, luckily I've been a black woman from the South, so I've already experienced voter suppression and ID laws, so I always have something prepared, and multiple forms of identification. I said, the problem is with what's happening is a lot of people saw DE and I, quite frankly, as something that will only affect African Americans. So I imagine it is new to you all. For which I was met with silence, and then it was like, oh yeah. Okay. So white women, save yourselves. Okay. Y'all vote in. I can't say against y'all's interest, but I really do think, in the words of Roxane Gay, no, white women vote in their interest. Their interest is always proximity to white man's power. Swear the black men that actually voted for Trump are not sorry they did. In the words of Bell Hooks, that's what black men and white women both have a desire to have the same power as white men. Now, it manifests itself differently, but nevertheless. Okay. Now, and white people stealing from black people news, which happens all the time, cultural appropriation. Let's talk about it. So pop the balloon. Now, pop the balloon. I know I've joked about that and talked shit about that, but it does entertain me when I scroll down TikTok or whatever. Now, y'all know the black woman who's hosted. Let me look up her name because I hate to do that and not give her. Black woman who started Pop the Balloon. I don't even know if that's the official name. What's her name? Her name is Arlette Amuli. It may be it looks Islamic. Arlette Amuli. Nevertheless, She started that show, and they would show the video. They'd have a line of men. They'd hear what the women had to say, pop the balloon, and then it would break. And if you still had your balloon by the end, you see if it's a match, whatever. And it always goes left, whatever. And it was good. It's good entertainment. She never reacted too much though when she would interview each person. She would just go, okay, well, what do you think about her? What do you think about him? And she just asked messy questions and was always shady around the face. But so it allowed for these usually naturally stupid back and forth, but nevertheless, right? It worked, right? It was just funny or just obnoxious. Like, I don't like your shoes. Your toes aren't done. I was like, these are some feminine men. Your clothes are too revealing. Or I prefer a more conservative look on a woman. Or how much money are you willing to spend a man? Like I said, funny or obnoxious, okay? Well, with her success, she sold the show to Netflix, and a lot of people who do YouTube shows, they get that opportunity to take it. I think Issa Rae was an example of that, or whatever. We'll get back to her in a second. Sold the show to Netflix, and now she's the executive producer of it. Not mad at nobody for doing what they need to do. Well, like anything, when Black people lose power or control over it, it becomes something else. An executive producer, the bottom line is Netflix, if it's sold to them, they do have a level of creative control, right? Even if she is executive producer. First of all, the show was already set up late. So it's put in front of a live audience. That was not the way this was supposed to go. The awkward silences are because there isn't an audience. Like when you're like, and nobody's really reacting and you're trying to guess all people's faces, or you're laughing, but you're laughing at like through your phone or whatever. That's what would happen. But unfortunately, they're putting this in front of a live audience. We don't know what the audience mix is like. It used to be Black people on it, and you might have a few, Latinas or a white person here and there, but it was rare. It was Black. It was like Black people funny, right? Now, of course, because you can't have nothing too Black or a Black show, they go and get Yvonne Orji and this man named Johnny Bananas. I ain't never heard of this white man before in my life, okay? But apparently, even prior to this, what I'm about to get to, he had sent out racist tweets about Black people and all this other stuff. Anyway, about gorillas and like wild shit, like that kind of stuff. Anyway, so I only watched a few episodes of Insecure. It really wasn't my cup of tea. I did appreciate some of the commentary and stuff. It was a little too California Black for me, and maybe some people don't know what that means. I do, so that's what matters. I've seen Yvonne Orji try to do stand-up. I was unimpressed. I felt like she was trying to go the Amanda Seales route. And Amanda Seales, I don't think is that big of a deal with her stand-up either. But I know she has been at that for a lot longer. And for people who were like ignoring her and mistreating her on set to try to then copy her path, I think is interesting. Anyway, but I remember this interview Yvonne Orji did on the Breakfast Club, and I'm coming to something. Like pre-COVID, okay, back when like I actually would take a look at it. So she talked about how it was important to her parents that she didn't identify as an African American but Nigerian. Whatever, y'all know how I feel about that. I understand it. It's just the active and intentional distance, okay, from African Americans that they're trying to impose. That gets on my nerves. But she kept trying to imitate like Nigerian scammers. I could tell she was trying to like be funny and make them laugh. And she was like, yeah, I know they call me and be like, sister. It was just a really corny like skit in the middle of the interview. Like nobody was laughing. Nobody was kind of giggling or anything. And she was like, then they realized I'm one of them. And it just, the whole thing felt flat. And I was like, wow, she's corny. But I didn't realize she was trying to be a comedian until I had saw like a advertising for a special at one point. So I've never heard of this white guy, Johnny Bananas. And why would I? Okay, I had to just go look him up because of this stuff. And of course, the show had to feature a white person as a co-host because anything Black can't stay that way. Even though we know white people stay all up in our business watching our shit so they can steal it. So it was the first episode, and the white guy couldn't keep his racism covered up long enough. But it's one damn episode. They can't do it. So to point out how beautiful this blonde white girl was first, and he's going down the line, and then it gets to an African American woman, and he says, well, in his next breath, well, your feet are ugly, and it looks like you've been hanging from a tree with them. Excuse me? You motherfucker, you. The reference to Black people as monkeys is as old and as racist as you can get. Okay, yet still very painful. It's still a very painful racist remark, and certainly to endure on camera publicly where it will live and in front of a live audience at that. Okay, and him saying it and using it as a punchline has been something that white people have been doing for centuries. They know better and they do it. He knew what he was saying and he was intentionally disrespectful. Fuck you and racist. Okay, also, then you had this white girl who came on and had previously said in her pop the balloon stuff that her type was black men. Okay, and then a black man comes out and then she pops the balloon. I told you it used to just be black people with our own like pathology and dysfunction. Anyway, and then when asked about this black man she popped the balloon on, she said, well, he's not my type. And Yvonne goes, what? You told us your type was black guys. He's black. She was like, yeah, I'm not attracted to him. It's his features. Bitch, the one that makes him black? Those features? Are you kidding me right now? And you can tell she don't like no black men. She might like to use them. She just said that so she could go viral or whatever. Like, we going to remember her. And for that Negro to still be standing there like a dummy, talking about, yeah, she's my type, I would definitely approach her. Some of y'all, I don't know what's going on with black men. I really don't. I don't even understand why it's a big deal going around on TikTok and all those things. Black men are graduating from college. I thought everybody already knew that. I thought that was already kind of a known statistic. I don't want to hear about how black men are treated differently. First of all, I have told y'all for years, at least for the past 7 or 8 years, colleges and universities have made a point to increase the number of men because there's too many women going to college. And see, that's not considered DEI, right? That's not considered affirmative action. So, and yes, I have seen black boys benefit from it. And I know I teach at a private school, I have still seen black boys benefit from it. And it's not, because sometimes there's some of them that make you go. And I work with kids that move in from like, underfunded schools, and they'll like do programs in the summer, and then they help them apply to different schools that are either private, particularly boarding schools. Anyway, just so they can have better access because it's so underfunded. Black men have made decisions over and over again. I am not suggesting racism does not exist in admissions. I'm not suggesting that the hostility toward black people does not discourage them from being there. But what we are not going to do and pretend like, one, we are surprised, two, then somehow shame black women for getting degrees because black men can't. Oh, they treat y'all better. Y'all been saying that since slavery. No, they have not. Black men were not raped and forced to reproduce the way black women were. It's because of things that black women did in slavery, like being a wet nurse, having babies, taking care of somebody else's babies was never considered the same kind of work. So that even the mentality hasn't changed, that they've been borrowing from Daniel Patrick Moynihan, who said the reason why black men can't be men is because the women are too strong, not because of your bullshit ass welfare policies, no man in the house rule. No. It's because black women are too strong and y'all should go to Vietnam so you could be in the army and learn how to be a man. That's exactly what the thinking was, and black men went for it. And a lot of black women did too. That's what we've been playing down for the past 60 years. And in the last 5, I don't know, COVID helped us, rectify our mind. We started pulling them on them. Anyway, and I'm all for education, but y'all acting surprised or trying to shame black women because of that. Let me tell you something. You can't make people do things that they're not willing to do. And if you want better, then black men should be in their child's life. No black women are not sitting around keeping their child from them and them being able to do it legally. Those men don't want anything to do with those kids. That's the real gag. And it's the unfortunate gag. Black people aren't the only ones. But being active and setting those standards, because y'all are quick to say, well, woman can't raise a man. The hell she can't. They've been doing it. That's what they told y'all, and y'all caught on to it the past 20 years or so and started saying that. Yeah, that's so when the police starts fucking with your black son when he's 13, you'll say, see, it's because his father's not in the house. That's one of those things that happen. No, it ain't. It ain't got to be. Anyway, and the last thing I'm gonna touch on is this trail ride dance that some white girl named J Barbie Janelle whatever is now, who didn't create it, is a black girl who named Tiana. And this was just news to me. This is my For You page. Black girl named Tiana created it, and they started, giving her all the attention, I guess because she's a white girl and she Learn how to what? I don't know why black people are always so impressed and clap and award and support white people when they imitate us, when that's an actual joke to them. The joke is that they're acting black. They go back with their white friends. This is comical to them. Kim Kardashian, Eminem, the Kardashians, period. They sap off black culture, then repeat it, remix it, and then try to use it. That's how I feel about that girl, Hallie Stanfield. And I'm sure, I don't know if I'm going to go see the movie Sinners or not, but her making her connection, that her grandfather was half black, whatever. But when and it's not even necessarily her, I'm talking about this incident. Sherry Shepherd is like, oh, when I was back in the room with the cast, I was like, who was that black woman talking? That girl does not sound black. And when she does increase those inflections in her voice, I could tell she was trying to sound like a black woman. And it was corny, forced. But like I said, stop being impressed. And now she gonna make money off y'all shit because y'all helped make her go viral. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Please be sure to comment down below, tell me what you think, and I'll talk to y'all soon.